Okay, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Michelle Morris from Consolidated Planning Group. We are a financial planning firm that focuses on families with special needs loved ones. We are located just outside of Houston and we serve all of Texas in terms of helping families with things like protection plans for their family, lifetime care plans, transition planning, ABLE accounts. And what we really focus on is advocating for families of people who have special needs loved ones in their families and educating families. And that's why we really focus on doing these webinars to help families that we serve be better prepared. So today's webinar is being recorded, and after we're finished, probably later today, you will receive an email that will contain a link to this webinar and the slides. So as we're going through, if there are links that you would like to click, of course you can't when we're presenting, but when you receive the slides later on today, they will all be clickable links. So we are recording. You will get a copy. Please, we can't hear you or see you. We do know that you're out there, though. Put your questions in the chat box. Some of our presenters prefer that we wait until the end, and some of our presenters prefer that we kind of interrupt them and stop them while they're presenting to ask them the questions. So I will be keeping an eye on the chat box. I'll answer what I can just in the chat, and then we'll take the other questions as we see fit. So don't be afraid to put your questions in there and we'll get to them when we can. All right, so without any further ado, we've got Jenny. Thank you so much for being here with us and for having us here to present to your folks. Please take it away.
Yes, thank you. I want to start out by thanking you, Consolidated Planning, for allowing us to do this presentation today. Good morning, everyone. I am from Texas Workforce Solutions Vocational Rehabilitation Department, and my name is Jenny Gang.
Oops.
Okay, so I will start out by saying that Texas Workforce is a huge agency, and we are just a one department part of Texas Workforce. That's Vocational Rehabilitation Services. We serve people with disabilities to help them obtain, maintain, and retain employment. So our overview of, we have different types of caseloads that we cover. We have different counselors that cover those different caseloads. I know that we also have, different eligibility requirements for our services. And so I'll also go over that. And I will also go over kind of how the process goes. And then each of my presenters will talk about their caseload, because I do have one presenter per caseload that we generally serve. Okay, so when it comes to vocational rehabilitation, we have 6 different regions that cover all throughout Texas. Right now, I am located in what is called Region 2, which is the Dallas County, then Garland, North Central, which is Denton, Louisville, in that northern part, and then of course there's Terrell County. But we have so many different locations all throughout Texas. Okay, so now to talk a little bit about our services. All right, so when it comes to vocational rehabilitation, our services, we partner with Texas Workforce, and it supports it supports eligible adults and students with a cognitive, mental, physical, or visual disability prepare for, or find, or retain, or advance in employment. Vocational rehabilitation counselors work closely with with job seekers, determines an employment goal, and then identify and arrange services that lead to employment. So we help anything that has to do with vocational goals, whether it's trying to prepare them for employment, trying to obtain any training, any additional schooling that has to do with achieving a vocational goal. Vocational Rehabilitation Services are available to eligible individuals across Texas, and some VR staff are co-located within many workforce. So we help with adults with disabilities. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Okay, it helps adults with disabilities when the disability is a substantial barrier to employment, and VR services are required to achieve employment. It helps youth and students with disabilities when pre-employment transition services are required. So not only do we help adults, we also do transition, and transition is usually ages from 14 to 22. We help also older individuals who are blind, which is our OIB agency, ages 55 and older with significant VR loss or vision loss or blindness to live independently. All right, so now we're going to get into the more details about our types of caseloads that we cover.
Okay, so different caseloads. Presenter 1. That's Kathy. Thank you for joining us, Kathy. Tell us.
Hi, I closed my blinds, but it didn't help a lot. So I'm sorry that I look like a shadow, but it's probably better for you. So,
Oh, stop.
good morning. I'm Kathy Hirsch. I've worked in this field for many, many, many years. We also assist people with mental health issues, and that's mainly who I work with, are people with mental illness and some with felony convictions. I've been doing this on this side of the desk for 5 years, and work for a provider for about, I don't know, 30 some odd years. So in order to become eligible for our services, the person applying must have a documented disability, meaning mental health, physical health, whatever is a barrier to employment. Now, that being said, if somebody comes in and they think they're depressed and have anxiety, which 9/10 of Americans have today, then we will send them for a psychological evaluation to determine that eligibility. Once they're eligible, then we can move forward with writing their plan. And just know, please, that we are not an immediate agency. So we have federal guidelines that we go by that allow the process to work. Okay, so it is a process. We're not an immediate agency. And our customers sometimes have a hard time realizing that we're not the emergency people. I in particularly work with workforce. We're co-mingled in an office with workforce on Greenville Avenue, and I am the liaison to workforce, which means that I go every Thursday to talk about VR services at the unemployment orientations. I'm also the liaison between workforce and VR. So questions come to me and all kinds of things. So, which is a really important, wonderful thing since we're co-located with workforce. Let's see what else. What did I forget, Jenny? Oh, well, hold on, I got it. If you are working and you need glasses or hearing aids or anything that presents a barrier, we can also help with that if you qualify, and we do a financial background thing. So we have to, because we have to determine whether or not the customer is responsible for any payment, let's say of hearing aids, based on basic living requirements. Does anybody have any questions?
I do. I haven't seen any questions come up in the chat box yet, but
Okay.
I wanted to know, you said that we're not emergency services, it's not immediate. So how long does it generally take when someone calls you and applies for services? What
Okay.
are we looking at there?
So we have 30 days to we've 30 days to complete the application process. Once you've applied, we have 60 days to determine your eligibility, and we have 90 days to, now this is all federal guidelines. It doesn't mean it's going to take this long. And we have 90 days to develop a plan for employment, which would also include, if you're getting hearing aids, it would include ordering the hearing aids, all of that information. So yeah, it is yes, it's a process. We're not immediate. I'm reading comments.
Yes.
Our particular office, Troy, is on Greenville Avenue in Dallas, but there are offices all over. So I don't know where you're located, Troy, or what provider you're with. I don't know if you're in the Houston area or the DFW area or anywhere else, but
yes, there's definitely,
it depends, Andrea, it depends on how long ago your child's diagnosis was. Let's say they were diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and ADHD when they were in the 5th grade, and now they're 19. Yes, we would send them for a current diagnosis. And the first question, hold on, I didn't mean to leave you out. I just yes, the evaluation is done only when you apply for eligibility purposes. So in the other presenters today will explain their particular process. And so yes, it depends on how long ago it was done. And whether they have a diagnosis on it, Jennifer. And so, yes, we would send them to a private psychologist, and all of the people that we send to for assessments must be contracted with Texas Workforce Commission. Okay, so when you're talking to a possible provider, they have to be contracted with us. Okay, let's see. Did I miss any other? Have I answered all your questions?
yeah, that's all of them that I've seen so far.
Okay.
Okay, here's
What is the
another.
eligibility age? 15, blah, 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 blah. That will be answered by a transition counselor. Okay, he's 15 and wants to apply. What about school documents from arts? No, it has to be a medical diagnosis and it has to be current. Now with transition, They may have other rules, and I'll let them talk about that. Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much, Kathy.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I took so long.
Oh, no, it's fine. We're gonna step over to the next presenter. Presenter 2 is going to talk about VRC BVI. What is that?
Hi, my name is Karen Duffy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Karen, for being here today.
Let me get over here to where I need to be. I am a BVI, blind visually impaired caseload counselor. I've been in VR for, since 2015 or so. So the blind visually impaired caseloads, we can serve anyone who has a vision problem that directly affects their daily life. So in other words, we used to have very clear specific guidelines related to their vision, but that's not the case anymore. So like, for example, some people we have blind or totally blind. Other people we have, like I have one customer on my caseload who has 20/20 vision. So you're thinking, well, then why does she need vocational rehab services? Because she has extremely dry eye syndrome. So she was unable to pass an exam that she needed to pass for her job, because after an hour looking at a computer, her eyes get so teary and so blurry that she couldn't even see to drive home. So we were able to get her some special glasses, and she just passed the exam that she needed to for her job. So it's not as cut and dry as it used to be. We have 3 categories: those who are legally blind, and you can be legally blind based on visual acuity, like 2200 or worse, and nobody knows what those numbers mean, but 2200. So if you all heard of 20/20 vision. So if you have 20/20 vision, when you're standing 20 feet from something, it looks like it should look when you're standing 20 feet from something. If you have 2200 vision and you're standing 20 feet from it, it looks as if you would be standing 200 feet away. So that's kind of an idea of what the numbers mean on the Snelling eye chart, the one with the big E. So we can also serve people who are legally blind based on visual acuity, but also based on visual field loss. So your visual field, what you can see, like, to the side is 180 degrees, half a circle. So, and like from your nose to the out is a quarter of that circle. So each visual field for your eyes is 90 degrees. So your visual field is 20 degrees or less, you are legally blind, even if you have 20/20 vision. It's sort of like looking through a toilet paper roll, kind of.
Wow.
So you might have good vision, but you only have that good vision through a little tiny place, and so you're considered legally blind. We have the next category is visual impairment, and you can have vision 20/70 or worse, or 20/70 to 2200, or 30 to 21 degrees visual field, which is still pretty small. And then the other category is significant visual disability, which is kind of like the lady on my caseload that I mentioned. You can have 20/20 vision, but you can have really narrow fields, or you can have, a severe eye syndrome, like a dry eye syndrome, something that affects your life. So those are the categories. Also, we do have, as Jenny mentioned, our older individuals who are blind program, and that's for ages 55 and older, to help people learn to be independent in their homes, so maybe they wouldn't have to go to a nursing home. There is also a children's program, and that's with Health and Human Services. It's a children's program for children ages birth to 14, or for kids who are medically fragile up to age 22. And they can serve children who have any kind of vision impairment also. But for the adult caseload, so our goal is to help people who are blind or visually impaired to be independent, to be able to make career choices, to be able to do what they want to do. And Texas has been doing this since 1931. That's when they started working with those who are blind and visually impaired. And I can't remember the name of the agency back then. But back then, you know, people were taught basically how to make baskets or how to do, you know, different things. But we've come a long way since then with technology. Let me turn this off here.
Karen, I have a question for you. So if somebody suspects that their child has a visual impairment, should they come to you first and you send them to an eye doctor to be screened and tested? Or is this more like they've already seen a doctor and the doctor wants, you know, has already told them that they have impairments and then they go to you?
Well, the children's program is through Health and Human Services. So if you come to me, what I will do is refer you to the children's program. But yes, if you have a child that, especially children who have multiple, a lot of them have cortical visual impairment, which is it's a brain thing. Their eyes are perfectly fine, but the message doesn't quite get from the brain to the eyes, and so their vision is a little bit like Swiss cheese. So they have little spots that they can see through, and that's another whole lecture in itself. But so yes, the children's program can send them to a doctor or to get that kind of mental help with that. So, and I can also provide that contact you want.
Yes, we've got a question in the chat box. They would like for you to provide contact info if you're willing to. But
Absolutely.
also when we send this content out to your email later on today, there will be contact information for us, for everybody who shares it. Yes. So
Right. And I will be absolutely very happy to help refer you. I worked in the children's program for 18 years, so I'm very familiar with it. So I will be happy to refer anyone to Health and Human Services. That program used to be with us, but they have moved over to Health and Human Services now. So they're not under Texas Workforce.
Okay.
So the blind and visually impaired, we have 6, and I'll go fast because I know our time is limited. I'm visually impaired, and our technology has helped us come a long way. I'm using a braille display, a digital braille display here, and I also have a screen reader. So I use my computer all day. I don't have any vision, and I do just fine. I have to do all the same stuff that every other counselor has to do, and I don't get any extra, you know, I can't tell my boss, well, I can't get it done. She's like, why? So,
Very good.
you know, so we have 6 categories. We have adjustment to visual impairment to help people learn about their eye condition, to help them adjust, because especially we get a lot of people who have diabetic retinopathy or things like that, who are losing their vision later in life, and it's very traumatic, you know. And I have several people on my caseload. So we help them learn about their eye condition and to make those adjustments, which takes years sometimes to help sort of adjust and learn that the world can go on when you're blind or visually impaired. And then we have independent living to help people to learn to do things in their home, like cooking, cleaning, organizing, repairing the kitchen sink, paying your bills, whatever, doing a resume. And then we have independent travel skills to help people learn orientation and mobility skills to be able to get around safely and get to work and get to doctor's appointments and take their child to school and etc. I have one lady that I'm working with. She was visually impaired, but she had some good vision. In the last 2 months, she has lost all her vision. She has diabetes, but she has a special needs child. She's a single parent. We're helping that mom kind of make that adjustment, and she's got to deal with the school. Her child has an intellectual disability, so she is verbal and isn't too low functioning, but still she, you know, has special needs. So that's, we can help those needs. And then it's, let's see, communications, which is computers and helping people access print and electronic information. There's Zoom text, which can magnify the screen 3 inches high if you need your letters that big, because you need a really big screen to get enough letters to be able to if you need it that big. Or there's screen readers like I use and all sorts of other different low vision magnifiers, etc. And then there's a support system. We certainly want people who are visually impaired or anyone with a disability to build a good support system, and to have, you know, people they can call on for assistance if necessary. They want, you know, to be involved in the community and social activities and church or activities at a place of worship, whatever they want to do. And then, of course, the most important, well, not most important, but the center of Texas workforce, of course, is employment. So our vocational is to help individuals get the skills they need to become employed in their chosen career field. And we work with job placement providers, just like all the other counselors with other, just, you know, customers with other disabilities. We work with the same job placement providers and help them to become employed.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Are you the right person? Somebody wants to know more about pre-employment services and what that looks like. Would you like to address that question or turn it over to someone else?
No, Jenny Transition will address that.
Okay, we'll get to that one then.
Yes.
Karen, thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add?
I can't think of anything specific. I know I went really fast through a lot of stuff, so.
No, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. And I do see
Okay.
that we've got some good discussion going on in the chat box. Giovanni is in there helping to answer some questions too. So thank you very much for that. And the rest of you of our panel, you're welcome to jump in there and answer questions. We're ready for presenter number 3 now. Who is going to talk about the TVRC general discussion?
That is me.
Okay, fantastic. Take it away, Jenny.
All right, so yes, my name is Jenny once again. I cover a transition general, which means that I serve all the students, the high school students that have all other disabilities other than our specialty caseload, which is BVI or deaf and hard of hearing. What our process kind of generally looks like is a lot of us TVRCs have a set amount of schools that we represent in the specific ISD that you are in. And for me, it would be the Dallas ISD. I have about 4 public schools that I represent on top of charter schools and private schools. And then those are how generally we get our referrals, is the schools will send us referrals that they believe that could benefit from our services anywhere from ages 14 to 22. The way that process works is once we get the referrals, we reach out just to see what their needs and their interests are, and then we start an application. There are a couple of incidents where I've had other parents basically refer other parents to me. There are self-referrals too, so it's not just the schools. If you guys know about us, or if you know any students with disabilities that would love services from us or would benefit, then, you know, I suggest that, or I recommend you guys to reach out. You don't always have to wait for the school, but if you do have a student that goes to a school, you could also do it that way, where you contact the school to see if they have a Texas workforce representative at the school. So the way that our services kind of differ is we help students with disabilities basically prepare to transition out of high school, whether it's preparing to go to college or go to some trade school or do some additional training, or if they just want to prepare to work. We work with them while they're in high school to get them as involved as possible, to work on independent living skills, to work on self-advocacy skills. I know that our 5 core topics for pre-employment transition services is career exploration, job readiness, work-based learning, self-advocacy, and counseling on post-secondary. We believe that these are some really good core topics that need to be addressed when it comes to transitioning out into the big world. We do things like we explore the different options that are out there. If the student doesn't know what they want to do, we utilize vocational assessments to kind of guide us in a direction that maybe they're willing to try in different occupations. If they know what they want to do, then we kind of make steps to achieve that goal in some way, whether we search how much additional education that's involved, or if there's any certifications that's involved. We look into that and we try to see what we can do for, on our end to get them to that point. There's summer programs that are available that we try to get them to be involved in. There's paid work experience, which is a really good opportunity for those students that have never worked, but that isn't quite ready to commit to employment just yet. It's a 5 to 12 week program that they can be involved. They get placed at a job or an entry-level job site, working for those 5 to 12 weeks while earning wages to kind of help build their transferable skills and their work experience. And it's a really good opportunity to put on their resume as well. We also, when it comes to evaluations, though, it's a little different. I mean, generally the schools provide evaluations, so school art records, IEPs, any evaluations that are done by the school are things that we can receive as documents for eligibility criteria. I do remember somebody asking that earlier. But if by some odd chance you guys, like the students, don't have an updated evaluation or would like an updated evaluation, I just purchased an evaluation for one of my customers because they wanted to get a re-diagnosis because the parent felt like the diagnosis wasn't correct. So in situations like that, we can purchase evaluations like neuropsychological evaluations to kind of answer questions that parents have about misdiagnosis or anything like that. And of course, if there's questions, please just go ahead and let me know verbally, because I can't multitask like all my coworkers can.
That's fine. Yeah. So, I mean, generally, there were a few questions earlier about how to apply for these services, but really, you can either work with the representative at your school, or you can just go online and refer yourself, right, through the Start My VR link.
Yes, definitely. Because there's so many schools around Texas. I can't guarantee that every school has a rep. And honestly, if your school, if you know that student's school doesn't have a rep, we also recommend that you reach out to us to see if we can get a rep for that school.
Fantastic. Thank you for all that you do. And I'll scroll through some more of these questions and see what else we have. Can you discuss CTP that are in the area and how VR goes about facilitating those programs? Do you know what CTP?
Can you refresh my memory on that one?
Yeah, Carrie, what are you referring to? She's probably typing right now, so give her a second. Comprehension transition programs for AU students, for autism students.
So we, as transition, we have autism supports. We do provide services such as ABA, such as certain premiums to certain services that we provide. It just kind of, everything is extremely individualized. So it's really hard to answer specific questions depending on what that specific student's needs are. But we try to create a plan according to what is it that they're trying to work on, whether it's, some social skills or some independent living skills, or whether it's academics. We try to figure out what is it that they need to or they would like to improve on, advance in, and we try to go on that.
Okay, perfect. And those educational guidance that can help them go into a college setting perhaps in the future, if that's right for them as well, right? Yes,
and we also do assessments for parents that want to know also that if their kiddo is going to be able to do a college environment as like a recommendation. I also, typically as a counselor will also explore the differences between high school and college so that maybe the student themselves can understand, oh, maybe, doing that would be best for me, or doing that is not right for me.
And one thing we talk about a lot in some of our other webinars is, the fact that not everybody's path is going to be the same. Not everybody's going to follow a path of 4-year college and a full caseload. And there's many other options available. There's certificate programs and licensing programs, or maybe your student would be better off to take just 1 or 2 classes at a time and kind of test the waters of college before they jump all the way in. Things like that are options as well. Jenny, did you have anything else to add for us?
One last thing is for, if you guys know anybody or any students that, have more on the severe side of disabilities, we do have resources because generally our agency aim for competitive integrative employment, but I don't always want parents to get discouraged because of that. I do want, parents to know that we have resources to day rehabilitation centers. We have resources to sheltered workshops. And so we are extremely resourceful. If we can't provide the services, then we'll find someone that can, or try to. Yeah.
Fantastic. That is so great to know that there's a place where we can go for help. Okay, presenter 4. Well, there is one more question before I release presenter 4. Can a parent request social skills or ABA services?
So the parent can, especially if the child is under the age of 18. If the child is 18, then if the parent has a legal guardianship documentation, then they can still, represent the child. But as counselors would generally have to make sure that it is okay with that kiddo, that this is something that they want to do.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, now we have the TVRC BVI section of the discussion.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this fantastic opportunity to present with my colleagues. My name is Lourdes Sainz Serrano. I am the Transition Vocational Rehabilitation Counselor at Greatest East Office in Dallas, Region 2. I work directly with Miss Karen, Kathy, and Miss Jenny. Basically, as a counselor working as a transition with the transition population, I work especially primary with the students with blindness and or visual impairments, ages from 14 to 22. I formally present and covers areas as Plano, McKinney, Frisco, Prosper, and others ISD areas. My colleagues, Mr. Joseph Holland and Ms. Camille Charlery, covers other areas in the Dallas County as well. So we are 3 covering and offering services, transition services to students. As my colleagues, Ms. Karen have been presented the services for individuals with blindness and visual impairments. We cover the process since 14 years old to 22, and we work directly with schools, and like Ms. Jenny said, with other referrals from the other community services or individual referrals. The most important thing for us is to make sure that the students, besides identify accessible employment goal, have the services directly to and based on their needs before they complete the high school. So for us, the most important thing is to provide parents, teachers, specifically the students, to know and start talking about work skills. Sometimes, usually they change. One day they want to do one thing, they want to do another, and that's very normal. And that's fine, because they are in a process to select something very important. And like, you know, sometimes youth, they really don't know what they would like to do. So the basic, the services that we offer covers what we call vocational rehabilitation teacher, who is gonna teach independent living skills, employment, preparation assistance, assist with recommended aids and or devices, or independent living aids. Training may be provided individually or in a group skill training. Other special primary service that we offer as a BBI transition counselor is Employment Assistance Services, EAS, which means Employment Assistance Services assessment, evaluation, purchasing, and training in assistive technology that is needed to for college and or to participate in pre-TS activities, which means we're gonna be helping them through that process since they turned 14 years old. Usually, what we want to do is to provide them the career exploration, as Ms. Jenny mentioned it, make sure they have start talking about self-advocacy, helping them to be independent. And actually, we participate in our, as soon as we know in advance, and if we are available, we participate in arts meeting with the school system. We could visit the schools as well, making sure we have the connection with students and families. I would say that because we work with students, this is like a primary participation from the counselor, you know, handling the engagement, because the primary thing for parents is for them to complete high school. So our challenge could be having that coordinated meetings, making sure they're connected with us, and we definitely encourage them to complete high school. But we want to be involved during that process to help them to identify and select their a feasible employment goal, as I said. So let's say we have a student who has plans to go for college. They will be receiving the EAS evaluation, and then they will be able to know where they need to go and identify with orientation and mobility training before they start college. And actually, besides that, any equipment, assistive technology that will be beneficial for them. We highly encourage them to be connected with the disability office in the college, so we can work together, making sure they have all what they need to be independent and being able to achieve their goals in college. Something else that you would like me to cover? I would like, before we turn to another one, I have a list of services that probably will help for this presentation. We offer advocacy and guardianship, assessment requirements, behavior, management planning, case management needs, career exploration, counseling in post-secondary education, covering educational needs, day programs, employment, independent living skills, life support and planning, self-advocacy activities, vocational education training, work-based learning, workplace readiness, and any area that needs to be addressed. Like we say, every student, every youth is different. One significance is that when they turn 22, we help them then to transition to the BVI adult unit if they are willing to be transferred to work with the adult visual and blindness and visual impediments, to continue providing them the support to being independent and being able not just to find a job, being able to maintain that job, because at the end, that's the most important thing. Provide them not only to select a feasible goal, but just provide them the skills that they need to maintain their employment. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your help today and for discussing that with us. That was fantastic. So we have another slide here about who vocational rehabilitation serves. Would you like to go through those, or should I?
I mean, it's up to you. I know that we covered a lot of the disabilities today. I know that this is just a huge overview of the types of disabilities that we do serve. One other caseload, specialty caseload that I want to bring to attention is that we do have a specialty caseload for the deaf and hard of hearing also. And then I know that there's some offices that also have counselors that specializes in TBI.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I do have a question here that I'll read out to you guys. It says, I work with children with special needs ages 0 to 20 years, and a high percentage of them are undocumented and attend public schools. So would they be able to receive vocational rehab services as well?
They can. I know for us, they can, as long as they're 14. Colleagues, do you guys have any resources for those that are under 14?
This is Karen. I know for VR, if they're undocumented, we cannot serve them in VR. They have to be able to work in the United States in order to receive services in VR. But I know the children's program for children that have visual impairments, they can serve kids who are undocumented from birth to 22 years.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because if they're unable to have a job placement in the United States, then you can't get them a job placement, but you could do some other things for them, perhaps. I flipped to the next slide. So we're seeing here some more services that the vocational rehab service offers. I'm not going to read them through to everybody, but just to say traumatic brain injuries, seizure disorders, IDD, any visual, mental, physical conditions that impact your ability to retain or advance in competitive employment. And if you're on SSI or SSDI, you can still serve them, right?
That's actually, that would actually help because anybody that comes to our office for services with SSI or SSDI will immediately move to the eligibility phase. So it could help them initially make the process go by faster.
Oh, very good. Very good. In my office, we do a lot of work with helping people sign up for their SSI or SSDI, make sure they have those benefits correct and that they're getting what they deserve with those benefits. So here are some more things that they can provide: job coaching, career counseling, assistive technology, work readiness training, job placement. All of these things are ways that the VR program and the Texas workforce can help your student. Do you want to talk about eligibility criteria for us?
So like, as we were saying that with VR, as Karen and Kathy were saying, that it has to be a documented diagnosis for eligibility determination. And then of course, if there is no documented diagnosis and there needs to be one, then an evaluation can be purchased to do so. For transition, as long as the student, once again, documented, but our documents are either individualized, education plans or a 504 plan that states their diagnosis, it will work. For criteria, we will consider doing evaluations for students if by some chance, there is a delay in the school getting them an evaluation done, then I have, came up to incidents where I would have to consider purchasing an evaluation for like a re-diagnosis or a reevaluation. I know for some of my private schools, their policies are a little different, so they're not always required to do evaluations over there, just like public schools do. So there's a customer of mine that I had to purchase a reevaluation for a diagnosis for eligibility purposes.
Very good, thank you. Which one, or several of you, I think, work with the blind services? Which ones of you, Karen, Jenny?
It's Karen and Lourdes that are BVI.
Karen and Lourdes. So when you receive the contact information later in your email, if it's not already in the chat towards the beginning, a lot of us put our information in the chat. So Karen and Lourdes would be the ones that you would look for, but you can just call the number and, everybody there knows what they're doing. You don't have to specifically, unless you have questions specifically for them, but they'll be able to help you out with that. So how do you get it started?
So you can either contact any of us, of course, and then you can call the statewide contact of Texas Workforce Center at 512-936-6400. You can also do the online self-referral, Start My VR. There's several ways to do it, or you can find your local VR office and on the internet and contact that office to see about services as well.
Very good, very good. And so you just meet with your counselor to fill out an application for services. And then the Texas Workforce Commission will provide an eligibility determination. And then you'll begin assessing and planning what services are needed, what do they need to succeed, really, and then complete the individual plan for employment.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So here is the contact info. We will, as I've already mentioned, we're going to send out these slides and a recording of this webinar later on today, or at the latest, it'll be early tomorrow. But the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, and you will receive these slides in your email. So you'll be able to reach out to Kathy or Karen or Jenny or Lourdes, all right there, all of their contact info. So that's perfect. Funding. So it's interesting that a slide just came up about funding. And there's a question here from Troy that says, with the ongoing inflation and budget cuts, do you envision cutting the budget for these services? Giovanni says that you're unaware of any upcoming budget cuts, but has anyone else heard anything?
We actually haven't. I know that, I don't know, please colleagues, if you guys have a different input, I've been told to use as much funding possible for transition. And at this point that there is no concern in our funds for right now.
That's fantastic. And from what I've heard, this program is well funded, and you really, you do help so much paying for assessments and things like that, that it's just so helpful to people. And we really appreciate that. So I do have a couple of more slides to go through as questions come through. So what I'll do is I'll finish up my last couple of slides while the questions come through, and then we'll jump back to any questions that have come through. So when you receive the slide deck, this will be a link to all of our upcoming webinars. We do probably 3 or 4 every week about various topics related to special needs. And we put all of them on our YouTube channel. All of our webinars get recorded. And we have also started releasing them as a podcast in case you would prefer to listen only instead of watching the webinar. If you want a copy of the slides and you're joining us on the podcast, you can email us contact@cpgcares.net, and we'll send you out those slides. So these are some of the topics that we cover, some of the things that we work with people on and educate people about every day. Setting up a comprehensive special needs care plan for you and your family, future care cost estimates, the Texas waivers and how to get on the interest lists and what those are all about. We help people understand the difference between SSI and SSDI and know what to apply for and when they should apply. ABLE accounts and special needs trusts. We help people with their designations, not designations, for their beneficiaries to, make sure that everything is designated correctly and you don't jeopardize any benefits by messing that up. Residential living communities. We have webinars about those and about the different communities available in Texas and throughout the United States. You should probably start touring those earlier rather than later because there can be waiting lists. If guardianship is something that you would like to consider for your family, it requires speaking with an attorney to get that set up. And the law in Texas is that you choose the least restrictive option when it comes to guardianship and alternatives to guardianship. Again, the webinar will be emailed to you later today. If you have signed up for this webinar, we have your phone number and your email address, and we're not afraid to use it. Finally, we help with post-high school educational and transitional options. This is our team real quick. We're located just outside of Houston in the Sugar Land area. We are an independent holistic financial planning firm, members of the Academy of Special Needs Planners, and we're also national Social Security advisors. So we do everything that any other financial advisor can do, but we take it further by really being involved and understanding the special needs community. So if you have questions and you would like to reach out to Consolidated Planning Group about those questions, this is our contact info. We always do a free personalized consultation. We're going to get to know about you and answer your questions, and then we'll tell you about how we work and how we charge and what our fees are and that sort of thing. So you can either use the QR code to schedule your appointment, or you can simply call us or email us. The phone number is 281-690-1177, or email us contact@cpgcares.net. And then there are links here to our Facebook, our Instagram, that YouTube channel, and our podcast. So you can find us all over the place. And if you can't figure out how to get there, you can definitely just email and we'll help you out. So I haven't seen any other questions come up. And I just thank you everybody for being here today, for letting us be part of your group and sharing all of the information that you shared. This was very, very educational and helpful for everybody. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us today, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Bye.